school, and that's what I did. You got a fast car. Is it fast enough so we can fly away? You gotta make a decision. Leave tonight or live and die this way. So I remember when we were driving in your car, speed so fast, I felt like I was drunk. City lights fade out before, and your arm done like wrapped around my shoulder, and I had a feeling that I belong. I had a feeling I could be someone, be someone, be someone. You got a fast car. We go cruising, entertain ourselves. Still ain't got a job. Now work in the market as a checkout girl. I know things will get better. You'll find work and I'll get promoted and we'll move out of the shelter. Buy a bigger house and live in the suburbs.
Right. Okay. Oops. Nope. Hey, yeah. Sorry, guys. Got a little thing happy there. Julie, I'm going to try a different approach. As we go tonight, I have a different volume setting, hopefully. Hopefully you guys can hear me a little better. I moved my mic like in front of me. So, and there was another one where it was kind of this mic is sweet. If you ever want one, they're probably cheap now. It's called the Blue microphone, and it looks really cool. Number one, and one of these days with my 1% tribe, I'm gonna get back into my awesome. I love the chiropractic, the one-on-one interviews. So I'm gonna start putting those on there. Now that we got this flow down on Sunday night, I'm hoping this year we can add a few more things, like to that whole group of the 1% tribe too. So I gotta do this real quick. I'm gonna name this our chiropractic philosophy night. Are you ready, Amy? Are you so excited?
So excited.
I know. It's kind of I'm taking a leap here. Principle number one. And there's a big reason I'm doing this. So one of the things I want to do is as we grow, what I want is to understand how the mind works with these things. So it's easy enough to tell everybody the different systems, the different things they can do, but how do we get them to really learn that this is our problem solving aspect of things, right? So to understand like how this is how we're like to change that program and how we approach our health in general, right? And so that's what chiropractic philosophy did for myself, and I hope in this series that we'll be able to do it. So what's going to happen is I'm going to do a principle. So we're doing chiropractic principle. Say hi to Rachel. She can't see. I know I gotta. I need to. I don't even know if that background works very good, but I should just go clear. Let me do that first. I'll just go none. Because I was looking at the different videos today. I'm like, that's okay. So you guys can see my 3D printer and our chicken stuff. Oh yeah, back there. Some of these shelves. I got my electrical to my chicken coop, Amy, today. So
good.
in the right position. Now we're just waiting to put them in there. So next couple weeks, it'll be pretty sweet. They got this little automatic door. Like it sees the dusk and then it goes up. So that'll be pretty cool for them.
Yeah.
So I'm pumped. There's 6 of them. I still think there's a red-tailed hawk in there, but that's why I don't know what I'm looking at. So
if you get a rooster boy, you better watch out.
they're pretty good right now. They're letting me. So they said to hang on to them and mess with them a little bit, and so we've been doing that a little bit. So they're not too bad. They're like, "Oh, get away from me, human," kind of thing. But So other than that, we're starting with 6. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully, fine, fresh, delicious eggs will be in our future. But yeah, so that's what tonight is going to be about. So what we're going to do is do a chiropractic principle. There's 33 of them. So we'll do a chiropractic principle night. And then we'll go back into our nutrition, our herbalistic, one, movement patterns, and then mental acuity stuff. So we're adding like kind of a fourth one for the month. So I think I really didn't have any trouble this last week, and we got, how many did we do? 50 something of these. So I know I have no issue in returning to other ones as well. Um, as people learn, maybe even asking my 1% tribe people what they would like to do on some of those other days as well. So that's another thing we can talk about. But so let's start tonight. Might not be, it's gonna be interesting. So I'm gonna try a different way to do it. And then we're gonna do PowerPoint and stuff like that. But we're gonna talk a little bit, but it might not be as long. It might not last as long. As long as I shut up now, I'd probably be good. So there's 3 interesting factoids we found this week. One is a huge one that we got to talk about because I have 2 patients that didn't know this. So high levels of iron is a major problem. No one even looks at blood work for this. So high levels of iron is an indicator that can cause major damage. There's not like it's called hemochromatosis, but a lot of people never know that they have high iron. It leads to liver problems, skin cancers, those kind of things. It can be a major issue. You can have heart problems, all those kind of things. Too much of that heavy metal in our body causes problems. And what happens is medically we don't even check for it. There's not been, it is so rare to get it checked for that you have to go deeper in the levels, to see this one. So sometimes a bigger blood test and all those kind of things. The biggest thing is I was looking it up because one of my patients has one and she'd like to start helping hers out herbally. And so the major way that you can help this is actually, like, if you end up with high iron, is donating blood. So she has to go every week or every other week. I can't remember. She has to get she donates a ton of blood. Um, it helps regulate that iron level. And so that's the only treatment, according to medical, that they have. But us in herbals have a few things. So we have curcumin, a lot of curcumin, which is new to me. So I'm going to be reaching out to her and making sure that she knows that. Silymarin. Silymarin's another one that could actually help bind to iron and get rid of it. Okay, so those are 2, and then ALA, which is alpha lipoic acid, that's in a lot of your other supplements as well. So those are 3 major ways or major herbs that you can do on that. So if you know somebody's struggling, they can't figure it out, and their iron's normal, maybe have it checked for high iron, especially in digestive issues and all those kind of things. Like they're finding that as a major cause that they didn't know was there. Okay, this one's easy. Playing an instrument or singing is going to help your brain health, which we kind of knew that. Except for if you're listening to my singing, you would have issues. Okay. Tai Chi. Tai Chi is really good at lowering blood pressure. I have a patient right now. I forced him into it and he loves it. He's an old crotchety guy that gets grumpy, and I love picking on him all the time because it's fun. And he decided to try Tai Chi with his buddy. He goes, it's hilarious because it's him. This is Tony. I can tell you this. So Tony, but he comes in there with his giant friend. His friend is like 6'8", and they're both in their like late 60s. So they're the entire beginning of Tai Chi, they're laughing all the time. And then now they go on a regular basis because they love it, right? So it's pretty cool. But
That's
it also
awesome.
reduces your blood pressure. It's absolutely one of those things to get in there. And then the other one, I've got to do some more research on how much, when, all those kind of things. Because if this helps anybody with ringing of the ears or what they call tinnitus or tinnitus, those conditions, magnesium could be a major factor. So that increase your magnesium to what it's labeled, right? Because like magnesium, you have a certain amount in your body that you want. You don't want to go over that because then it starts competing with other stuff. But magnesium could be a really good one for things. Any questions on that, AB?
Nope.
Okay, good. You missed last week. Oh my gosh. I'm just kidding. It was good. It turned out pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, but this week is gonna be cool. Are you ready to see? Let's see. Let's do this. All right. Let me get in to. I did that. Sorry, guys. This is just me not knowing what I'm doing. Come on. It's weird how. Okay, go down. That one. Okay, there we go. Oh, I could do that. Okay. So, slideshow. Man, view slideshow. Okay. Okay. So, this is the first principle of chiropractic. Okay. So, this was written in, oh man, 100 years ago, at least 100 years ago. We call it in chiropractic, there was a textbook that started going through because chiropractic as a healthcare profession has always been three things: a science, philosophy, and art. So we add those three, and you can't have one without the other in the chiropractic realm. Otherwise, it becomes something else. It becomes sick care. It becomes those kind of things. The philosophy is what we're going to basically go through, as we're looking at a patient. This is huge difference. Huge difference. Now, as we go, it's going to be simple, but we have to like kind of break down why it's so complex in a way. Okay, so the number one this is the first principle. This is principle number one. But the chiropractic, we had to have an art, the skill of adjusting somebody so it's like perfect, right? You had to do the philosophy. We have an understanding of how the human body works, and that's where our philosophy is different than quite a few other places. And then the science. The science is coming in our favor every day, more and more. And as that science keeps coming, people are understanding the role of chiropractic. And tonight is one of those that'll either help you with that, hopefully, or not. It depends on how good I do on this, because it's one of my most fascinating. So this is called the major premise. Okay, so we called it the major premise. The title of the principle is called the major premise. A universal and a universal intelligence is in all matter and continually gives it all its properties and actions, thus maintaining it in its existence. Okay. So, what it's saying is that there's a universal intelligence within all things that have allowed us to have order to our universe. Okay. Whether you call that God, and we'll talk about a lot of these things. Religious is not necessarily what we're talking about. There's the physics of our world weren't put here by accident. Okay. And so when our physics, how does it work so perfectly if it was here randomly? Okay. So universal intelligence, we are saying as chiropractors, this doesn't mean you have to agree either, right? You can say this is not true, but we are saying that everything within our universe aligns to an order of things. So this order of things, as it goes through life, that is how your entire life cycle begins. Now, some people put on there God created that order, right? Whatever your beliefs are on that system, some people believe a big bang, and somehow I don't get how you would come to there, but that's me. We'd have these perfect order of everything. How do you have trees lose seeds into the ground? That same group of trees gets wiped out by a fire, but it has babies that come up from that fire. there's so many cycles that we can go through, and we'll go through a little bit of this as we go. So let's break it down into the definition. So what is the definition of universal intelligence? Universal intelligence is the beginning or first step of all cycles. It is the acknowledgement or affirmation of the recognition of laws. Okay, so this is saying natural laws were placed here that are part of this natural universe is intelligence to make things function, to move us forward, if that makes sense. But we have to come to that conclusion. Now, here's the hard part. With this thinking, we have to say that our universe is not random and it's not a chance of luck. And that is where science possibly could take, like be a differing thought process. Is it wrong to think the other way? Nope. I just really, really think this is the way it goes, right? And there's no, with quantum physics, they're finding out. We're laughing because chiropractic, we were like, this is written like at least 170 years ago, saying what quantum mechanics is. It's the order of all things in a bigger scale, right? So all these quantum things you hear is basically universal intelligence. Okay. So this was written 200 years ago or whatever. So that is the problem. Okay. So this is from Terry Ronberg. I really, really like him. So I'm going to read it. It's a quote. It doesn't seem logical to think that everything in the universe is the result of a mere random selection or luck. Is it luck that the bird's wing is perfectly designed for flight, right down to the tiniest pin feather? Is it just chance that a plant's roots travel downward into the ground where we'll find water and minerals? And it leaves to grow upward where it will find sun and air. If the universe were truly just random, at least some parts of the plant would send their roots straight up or would bury their leaves in the soil. Have you ever seen such a plant? So that is just thinking in terms of how this is. And what I'm hoping tonight is you'll get an understanding of the depth and the wonder that's out there. Like you have to come from that far away. I'm not kidding about this, to start living a life of like that great health and happiness, and those kind of things. Okay. How did creation on this earth just get here and work perfectly? It's not, it's difficult to understand that, the randomness. And so I love the analogy of like, how did water things make rivers for other areas and other plants to just get created? Like we have these giant, magnificent rivers, like perfectly placed, where like whole areas of land can get all this different more, this water that was sitting in one location, right? All of it's not random. The things look random, right? But it's just not. So, and then here's another one that I love. I mean, anytime you go on your own walk outside, how in the world did the universe create giant forests that action, and then two, as they're breathing, so that they use animals waste product, so we breathe in oxygen, we breathe out CO2, right? And guess what the plant needs? It needs the CO2 to convert to oxygen. Like that's what they do. So the more trees you have, the more oxygen. Why do you think we all want you to put plants in your house if you're not like a plant murderer, right? It's because it increases the oxygen within your house. So is it making sense so far, Amy? I'm gonna use my guide. If it gets a little crazy, let me know.
Okay.
I don't know how my brain works, so I apologize up front. Okay. Since it could not be human intelligence, then we have to call it something else. So a human did not make all these systems. In fact, like in the world, and then we're going to be able to kind of start breaking it down here. So we have to call it universal intelligence. Now, as we go through each principle goes into detail where the human comes in and, those kind of things. So just understand this one right now. Okay, so the universal intelligence is the existence of some intelligence that it allows our world to be. It allows it to exist. So I like saying, and when we talk, oh shoot, go back. All right, sorry, I'll go back through. I like saying, where was we at? Oh, I went too far. Okay, I'll do this again. Slideshow. Yeah, there's not much to it. Okay. Yeah, I like talking about universal intelligence as the natural laws of the earth. Okay. So the natural laws of gravity, thermodynamics, energy. Those are some. Gravity's probably my favorite because it's easy, right? So how water flows, all of those have laws to them. If they didn't have law, then it would be random, right? But there's you can actually study how gravity works, how it changes in certain situations, and all those kind of things. That's universal intelligence. So there is an intelligence, a very structured, here's the rules. Let's play by those rules. Okay. So that's what universal intelligence is. We want to start everyone from that perspective, saying it's bigger than us, right? It's bigger than us. And if we can understand where we come in, it makes it so nice to understand that when it comes to things, when we come down to a closer level, like when we look at our own health, our kids' health, or those kind of things. It's a bigger picture. When you say, okay, the universe, or I like saying, if God says, like, these are God moves, right? You can feel it when you feel a change in an environment, right? You can kind of feel that now in political and all those kind of things. You can feel these energetic God moves of people like paying attention to certain things they never did before. Those are really what is cool, like as we go through this. So there are some people who believe that God is the source of the universal intelligence. Others can accept the concept of a universal intelligence without even believing in a God. Either way, we know through observation and what we're going to talk about, deductive reasoning, that such an intelligence must exist in order to prevent all matter from decaying into chaos. Okay. So, regardless of religion pieces to this is why chiropractic became a healthcare strategy, not a religion, right? Regardless of what you think, once you see that there's an order to the universe, that's all you had to know. Okay. So that's how deep it's kind of crazy how deep these guys thought like back then. And now it comes to importance of today, and you can, well, we'll go into it in a little bit here. All right. So why is this so important? All right. So we're going to go into what they call deductive logic, or deductive problem solving, versus inductive. Okay. So in the beginning, so what has happened is back when we had everything was based on natural law. So like when you had a lot of these herbals that people would find just naturally, uh, um, different cultures that would find things that they would try. So one of the things that's most fascinating is once you start getting into plants and you say, "Oh wow, this raspberry it's the shape of a heart. Isn't that fascinating that it's good for your heart?" Or these walnuts are weirdly shaped just like a brain. It's fascinating that it's like just like a brain. These people knew that back then, basing it on natural law. Universal intelligence is giving those plants that ability to say, hey, human, these are good for that, right? Here's a good one. If you don't believe any of that, right? You can say, there was these frogs that they have all these weird things on there that tell every person, hey, dudes, I'm really poisonous. So if you eat me, you're going to have a bad time. And so that wasn't just for humans. That was for all animals to be like, nope. And you could go the amount of those kind of animals. I mean, the one that looks, you remember the butterfly? I think it's a moth. It's a moth, a big moth with like the huge owl eyes. Have you
Yeah.
ever seen that one? That one,
Yep.
like, who comes up with that? You think the
Yeah.
owl did at night? Being like, all right, dudes, let's start genetically modifying our buddies until we get this like owl shape. Because everybody that thinks we're an owl ain't gonna eat us. So, I mean, just what I would take from tonight, regardless of this makes sense to you or not, which it will eventually, but regardless if it makes sense to you, go out and appreciate that about nature, right? So walk through and see the actual universal intelligence that sits in front of you, which is unbelievable. Like us Michigan people are used to universal intelligence of a nice big winter, and we're kind of coming out of that. This year, the universe said you're going to have a mild winter, whatever that is, but you can feel it as all of Michigan people are sitting there going, "Oh my God, this is I should be outside, but it's March." So it's like this weird conundrum because we're used to like shoveling and snow and kind of setting down. So like today I was working on the chicken stuff, right? Outside just to do it, to get my brain wrapped around like, nope, this is what nature wants. It's giving you a decent day to work, so go out there and do it. So that's where, sorry about that long rant, but the scientific method came, and what happened was is we started to take this what we call deductive, where so there's two. Let's go through deductive and inductive real quick. Okay, so what is inductive logic? Okay, inductive is a method of drawing conclusions by going from specific to general. Okay, so we break down the parts and then we see the function. We put together the functions on the way up. Example is a lot of my medications are built from the cell, right? They do a cell in a lab, see how it reacts, and then they go up to the human body. Okay. And if it helps in that one process, then it potentially could be a drug they would use. Okay. So deductive breaks things down to the smallest unit they can. And then they start to study that, which makes sense. It's like taking the whole car apart, right? Understanding each part and then trying to put that car back together. Okay. So, in a mechanical perspective with no consciousness, that makes a lot of sense. So, if I was going to learn how to build a car, I would probably want to start with just the bolts and start building upwards, just like a Lego set, right? So that is one way to look at things. And in medical, it can be super valuable. But there's another way that we completely lost, and that's our problem. Deductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning is the logical approach where you go from general ideas to specific. So what that means is when we approach it's a guy that understands the car so well that all he has to do is look at it or listen to it and he knows immediately what it is, right? Because he says, here's a perfect car, right? All of a sudden, the squeak happens. He knows. So he's taking this general knowledge that he has and he can deduce down to the part that he believes is the problem. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So what we do is we want you to start as back as you can, as back 40,000 foot view, as far back as you can when you look at health in general. And that's where it gets tough because what everybody ads and media and all the world wants you to focus in. So then our little tiny world is the condition at hand, right? So we start with the condition at hand and then we try to cure this condition instead of the whole picture coming in. So that's where chiropractic is massively different than almost any other one. That's why when people ask, we have different answers a lot of times. So this is another one from Terry Ronberg, real quick. Chiropractors smile at the notion that science is now only discovering the quantum theory, right? After all, the entire profession is built around that simple yet profound truth. doctors of chiropractic understand that there is order and intelligence to the whole universe. By deductive reasoning, they also know that this order and intelligence applies to every part of the universe, including the human body. And so the next principles, that was principle one. So that's the crazy part. So there's 33 more of these that'll add to this. And once you get this down, the next ones will go really fast. So they're not hard to understand at all. Just understanding what when you hear universal intelligence, what that means. And it could mean things to different people. So it's simpler to say God, say God. If it says universe, say universe, or whatever that is. But understand we have to think of our own selves that much. Okay. So how does this help us today? And that's what we're going to do tonight, which will be super fun. So we're going to try to use our deductive logic and begin to understand that everything has an order to the universe. This critical understanding can drive our decision processes when it comes to health and well-being. And so what we're going to do tonight is a little bit. Let me see if I can get on the old Facebook. If we got anybody who wants to capture, if anybody's watching, let me know. I know we get a few people, but if you'd like to play along, this is great. So we'll get out of this. I don't need to share this rest of it. Okay. So I'm going to give you the case study, and then we'll go from there. All right? You ready, Amy?
Yep, ready.
Use our universal intelligence. So no, I'm just kidding. Can't cheat. Oh, maybe I got to show this actually. All right. I lied. I'll be right back. Okay. Okay. We are going to show that. I got to share this screen for this. Okay. Go back. Okay. So hopefully we get to this point where you guys can see this. Okay, so we're going to talk it from a chiropractic perspective, from a parent perspective, and just from a human perspective. So each of these case studies. So if you don't know, a case study is basically we had to do many of them in doctor school. So you have this patient that comes in with a certain condition. Things start to progress where you kind of understand where that condition is. And then you got to kind of diagnose or give them a treatment that you would like to put together for them. Okay. So this one is somebody comes into a chiropractor suffering with osteoarthritis. Okay. So a person comes into your office and sees that the body has created a lot of osteoarthritis in the joints of his or her back. And so hopefully if you can see it, there's a really decent low back picture of a normal on your left and a pretty messed up one on your right. This is what degenerative arthritis would look like. Now, this one actually has, you guys, oh, this is me nerding out. This is just a Google image, but up in the top. So if you count, so from the very bottom, you got that big tailbone looking thing at the very bottom of the picture. The next one up is L5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then it starts getting into the thoracics. So if you go over to the nasty one looking, supposedly, you got the tailbone, you got L5, not too much different, not a lot of space there. L4, not a lot of space. 3, 2, 1. You see how all those spaces are kind of gone. But if you get up to this like T12 area, that's called a compression fracture. That's pretty interesting. So that's just on this Google image, but those spaces are gone. So here's the quiz, and Amy's on the spot tonight. So
Okay.
actually, you know what I'll do? No, we'll keep going this way. We'll just do it. So what would you, if that coming from what you know about universal intelligence, what would you assume or start thinking about in your brain when somebody comes in with osteoarthritis?
Like, how did it get there, you mean?
Yep. Like so we gotta figure out, it's not about pain. We're trying to figure out how, let's say, we can help this person prevent it from getting worse. What would you think about?
Diet and exercise,
Good, good. Diet and exercise. One of the things,
chiropractic care.
so nature, okay, so when you have arthritis like this, one of the universal forces that this person's fighting off pretty hard is gravity. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Gravity is what would compress bones to actually start looking different than they would before. Okay. So let's say this person sits for a living. All they do is sit for 8 hours a day. Okay. Let's say they do accounting or something. So that person is sitting doing 8 hours a day. If they're sitting, is there a ton of gravity placed on the spine? I'll answer for you. Yes.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I
Oh,
thought
you're
you
good.
were talking. Keep talking. Sorry.
I know. No. So there'd be a ton of pressure placed on the spine. What
Yeah.
happens, like, and this x-ray just shows that we would want to, how would we combat that? Well, we're going to stop them from working. Would we say, it's over, go home? You can't really do that. So how does, but in a universal force thing, you can say, okay, gravity's not being your friend. So what could we do? And so just thinking things off the top of your head, would you tell them to go run a 5K?
No.
No. Would you tell them, oh, diet and exercise, chiropractic? We know those things. So we're going to get specific. Would you swim?
Maybe. Yeah.
Absolutely. You'd get into swimming. Would you bike?
No.
You might be able to. You might be able to on that one because your gravity is a little different, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, because you're, as long as you were biking for real, not sitting like Miss Daisy on the little, that,
Yeah.
right? So sitting's probably out of the thing. Would you strengthen?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
Because the more you strengthen your muscles, the stronger your bones are.
Good job. And the stronger your joint, your ability to keep those bones apart will be. Okay.
Mhm.
So one of the problems that happens, especially in my sitting population, is their core strength becomes so weak that they end up losing that, and that the muscles are part of the universal intelligence ability to fight against gravity. Okay. We are standing upright based on the muscle system that we have, right? Otherwise, we'd be down on the ground. Gravity would take us all the way down, right? So, so that one, it's kind of interesting. So you're like, so you could do that, right? And so all the other things that we'd probably do, get adjusted, take good nutrition, right? All those kind of things. But in universal intelligence wise, one of the natural laws that you can look at very simply and go, okay, gravity has not been your friend, right? And when we say that little compression fracture that we were kind of talking about, that person had a major fault against gravity, right? So how do you go against it? And what's kind of interesting is like people doing it right now, get one of those inversion tables, those kind of things. The other one that's kind of cool is like yoga or those type of stretches because you stress your body in different things, kind of going against that gravity or getting your body ready to go against those natural forces. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet. So that was our first case study. So now we'll go into our next one. All right. So this one, Amy she'll get it. She'll get it. All right. Kid comes home with a stomach ache. Your child comes home with a stomach ache and says they're not feeling the best. Let's go down the rabbit hole. Let's find out what happened. What, Amy, since you have the youngest, would you ask them?
What did you eat for lunch?
Okay, good answer. Good question.
Um,
Anything else?
did anything bad or scary happen at school?
Ooh, add that one in there. Very nice. Good.
Mhm. Um, oh, when was the last time you went poop?
Mhm. That's a really good one.
And have you drank any water lately?
Good job. And so Amy is kind of she kind of cheats because she works there and actually does this stuff. But the only other one I would add is, did you have any accidents like fall,
Mm,
like roughhousing with kids? Because that could do it too. So in our universal, let's look at universal intelligence. Let's step back. So our universal intel, well, this one's kind of a tougher one to do, just total universal intelligence, but because we're going to talk about this later, but innate intelligence is your body's ability to heal itself. But what you want to do is from a perspective of, in our medical, a kid comes home and not feeling well. Why aren't we asking those questions? Amy just ran through those. Most people go, here's a medicine. Let's try this. What we need to do is understand why the human body is not working at its level and what questions to ask. Because if we know that everything's perfect, then we know that you have a shot to actually feel a lot better, just based on, the universal intelligence of the body. So those are good ones, like Amy said. And one of the major ones, and she hit it right away. It was like her second question. How was your day mentally? Right? Because sometimes that stress will cause a stomach ache instantly, especially
yep.
in kids. There's a lot of emotional stomach issues. It's like when you're upset, anxiety, all those things. It's amazing how many people don't eat, and that
Yeah.
brain connection is massive.
Hmm.
So we did good there. I
Yeah.
think that was pretty all right. So it's a simple system, but or that principle, but it's a big deal. So, all right, let's do this last one. All right. So let's say me and Amy have started having constant headaches more often. So what do we do as a person looking at it in a holistic chiropractic philosophy view? What would you start your process with?
I guess my first question would be, were you in an accident or did you fall or, hit your head?
Okay. Yep. Good. So that would be a good one. What did I eat today?
Um,
Would be another, right?
what's that?
Yeah, could do it.
And then the first question I ask when people start complaining about headaches, even though maybe they're not constant or whatever, it's a lot in this house. But again, with the water, have you had any water? When was the last time you drank water?
And here's the best part of that when we talk of that universal intelligence, right? You're saying this universal intelligence over the universe gives you perfect water, and we don't even follow that one. We need to be hydrated. So in your universal intelligence, your chemistry has to be a certain way as well. So we got to pay attention to a lot of that stuff. So water is kind of hilariously a bad one. People
Yeah,
hate it when they have to tell me they haven't drank water.
yeah, yeah.
I I pick on them till the cows come home. So it's pretty bad in the office. If they don't do that, it's
Uh-huh.
but there's also what else? Like high stress environment.
Oh, yeah. High stress, and then think about people that stare at their computer screens all day and,
Yes.
fluorescent lighting, changing a change of scenery, kids especially that go into a new semester have a different classroom and the lighting is different.
Yep. And think about how many things aren't natural now in our universal world. So like
Yeah.
a universal intelligence thing would be sun, moonlight, fire, we have those
Yeah.
kind of things. Now we have computer screens, Wi-Fi, cell phones, radiation, beating our head and don't go out in that, you know,
Yeah.
too cold, that kind of crazy talk, honestly, because then what happens is this universal intelligence, our bodies aren't able to, this is kind of off subject of our headaches, but one of the biggest things on universal intelligence, it gives you various weather waves, right? Start enjoying those, start getting out
Mhm.
in those. Staying in the same 72 degrees all year is going to cause you problems. I guarantee it. There's not
Yep.
like if they're going to, it's
No.
when they do, right?
Yeah.
So I always say embrace all of it, and as you go, you're going to notice a big deal. Go out in a walk when it's raining. It's cool. Get
Yeah.
out in the woods, like those kind of things. Understand what these universal intelligence is, and then your body can actually adapt to that, which will be another premise later, right? So yeah, headaches very, very subtly. And a lot of people, what's so cool about this system, chiropractic holistic, I don't have to teach it very much. Most of you know, right? Most people that come in after they start getting into the chiropractic and understand that tool, they've already kind of deduced in their head like what's happening. Like
Hmm.
good example is like wife is reading a book, watching TV, but she's looking, over to the side, and she hadn't been doing that because this TV was so interesting, this series. She kept sitting, let's say she just read, when she's in the same room with her husband, she's reading. Well, then the series is getting to a point where she's sitting like she's going to read and she's off to the side. And then she's like, man, I get headaches all the time
Yeah.
now, and I didn't have them before. Well, those are the slight things that can make a massive difference, and and that's where universal intelligence comes in. Once we understand that process, we can start really diving in. It's kind of like when we start our garden soon, we're not going to say, you know, what is the best seed ever to put in the ground? Well, we probably will, but if it goes in the ground and it doesn't pop up, are we going to just deduce, the seed was bad? Or maybe it was us, or maybe we gave
Hmm.
it too much water, too much this. Maybe it wasn't the right, lineup for, the soils and those kind of things. We have to start thinking that way, and then we can be so much healthier overall. So I think that is all I got.
Cool.
Sweet. I didn't kill you guys, hopefully. Did it make
Mhm.
sense a little
Yeah.
bit? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
It's a
Because
good
each
thing you
one of
put all
these,
those case studies and examples in there,
yeah, yeah. So as you go, it's hard to think that way because so we get put in our face what they call that inductive logic all day. Do you
Yeah.
suffer with this? Then moving your shoulder up and down this way will get it better, right? Well, why did your shoulder start hurting that way? Like you have to
Yeah.
think differently, as you go holistic. And that's one reason why this is going to be an important piece of our 1% drive going forward as well. So, but
Cool.
that's all I got. So
Cool.
next week back to nutrition stuff, which will be super fun. So
Awesome.
I'm gonna ask Julie if she has anything from tonight and see if my volume was better. It may not have been. I think my volume is good. It's when I run videos. I think that's my
Yeah.
problem.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh yeah, you're good.
Your volume was so much better. I could eat,
Sweet.
I could make my salad. I was doing everything and still listening to you. And I understood it and took notes at the same time.
Awesome. This is going to be fun. I want to, as we grow, and we're still working on, remember, Julie, too, we're still working on our little seminar we're going to do at my house here. So I got, I got Amy. I'm starting to write it. They're starting to write pieces of it. I cannot wait. I got a lot of doctors on board for it. It's going to be sweet. So yeah. So this is a good night for that, and I won't keep you guys too long. It's weird. It's like feels like 8. We're just coming up to that was a strange that spring ahead shocked me a little bit today. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it does
got us.
that for a while, but you went outside today. I went out and I went, oh no, this is way too cold. I'm going to wait until tomorrow when it's
I
50.
knew it was coming. I love that wintertime stuff, but you can't do anything. It's all dirt and but I had to get this chicken coop. I'm so excited about these chickens. One, leaving my home if they're so I'm a city kid, so I've never like raised chickens in the back of my house before. So to hear all these little suckers start getting natural, right? They're starting to like grow bigger wings and stuff. My kids are dying laughing about it, but I'm like, this is gonna be crazy if we wait too much longer. But they seem pretty happy. We've done pretty good, so I'm hoping we gave them a nice area that I love in my yard. So hopefully it'll be perfect for them. So
Are they covered so that the birds and the hawks don't
yes,
come down? Very
correct.
good.
Yeah.
Very
I got
good.
this sweet coop. It's small, handmade out of Indiana. It was ridiculous. Like metal roof, all this stuff. And the guy delivered it. If you ever want a coop, you got it's a little price. It's not even pricey really for what you got, but man, was it awesome. It was so good. So all I got to do is like set it up, and then we even put like a little fencing underneath to make sure that they can't dig underneath. So that'll be nice too. So
That's
Amy's
very
actually
important
great.
because that's what I'm doing. I'm having somebody put metal on some of my buildings because the groundhogs keep thinking that that's their home under it. And we can't have
Yeah,
that. So
that's
very
correct.
important thing. So I'm glad you did that.
Amy, when did you did chickens for a while? How many did
Yeah.
you guys?
I don't know. I think the most we had at one time was 15.
15. Yeah.
Yeah.
That- yeah. That's awesome. All right, you guys, I won't keep you too long. So have a good night and see
Night.